with that, we want to bring in GOP Whip John Thune, Senator from South Dakota. Senator, thank you very much. Good to have you with us.
Hey, Martha.
I just want to go through a couple quick things here. This is $1 million worth of heroin that was just seized at the border. And then I want to listen to the Chicago Mayor, Brandon Johnson, going after the Texas governor. Watch this.
We have a governor, an elected official in the state of Texas that is placing families on buses without shoes, cold, wet, tired, hungry, afraid, traumatized. The governor of Texas needs to take a look in the mirror of the chaos that he is causing for this country.
Okay, let's stop right there. Senator, so, you know, an accusation of a lack of compassion for these individuals and busing them to Chicago. Is there any light in the Senate and on Capitol Hill that there are going to be solutions provided to any of this for the American people?
It's up to the Democrats, Martha. We've been saying we presented a proposal the first week in November to deal with the chaos at the southern border. And by the way, the governor of Texas didn't create that chaos. The Biden administration did. And I'm going to channel my best Karl Rove here. Your last guest talked about the Trump administration. So that was the last year of the Trump administration. This is 2021, first year of Biden. Look at how this has gone up. And if today's numbers were indicative, if you annualized them, this number here would be 4.5 million people, which is larger than 24 states in the nation. I mean, it is absolutely staggering. It's totally out of control. They've lost operational control of the southern border, and it is solely on this administration and their policies, and that's why it's got to change, and that's why we're insisting that it does.
Well, Leader Schumer says, you know, that you guys aren't serious about this because you want to head home. He says Republican colleagues said it's an emergency, but most of them are leaving for the holidays already. Can you explain to the American people how it is that Congress can't do something to fix this problem? Or do you think there's an executive order that the president could put in place immediately to just calm this chaos, at least temporarily?
Yeah, the president has all the tools that he needs. I mean, those numbers bear that out. These are policies that he changed when he came to office, completely abandoned everything that was working throughout the course of the previous administration. But to your point, the reason we don't have a deal right now, Democrats didn't come to the table until literally last week. I told you this. We had a proposal out there. First week in November, we've been waiting for 7 weeks for the Democrats to engage, and for him to try and finger point and blame the Republicans right now, it just absolutely doesn't fit the facts.
Let me ask you this, just, you know, for people watching, just say, you know, tell me, what are like 2 or 3 things that are in your proposal that you think would stop this if only your Democrat counterparts would sign off on it?
Well, these are policy changes, Martha. You got to deal with asylum, you got to deal with parole, you got to deal with safe third country. There are some discussions of other things which I won't get into, but you've got to stem the flow. Right now, every policy this administration has, they're pull factors. They're pulling people into this country. It's like we're putting a big welcome sign out there, and all the signals are come, come, come. And right now it is overwhelming the southern border, and it's overwhelming our cities in the interior of the country too. Every state now has become a border state. But if you just look at the composition of the people coming across the border, in the month of October, 1,569 people had criminal convictions, 93 had warrants out for their arrest, 50 were gang members, and 12 were on the terrorist watch list. And last year, on the terrorist watch list, 169 people came into this country across our southern border. This is a national security crisis, and it needs to be treated that way by this administration, and they're not. They're not doing it. Now, we're going to do everything we can to try and get them to the table. They are finally at the table, and I hope that we can hammer away a solution that stems the flow and forces the administration to do their job.
I know you said it's going to go into January, but you know, how many more days are we going to be looking at scenes like this?
Well, I mean, again, they could change that. They could change those policies. They don't need Congress to tell them what to do. He's got the tools and the authorities that he needs. But we are going to get something across the finish line. Now, it's not going to get done before the holiday for the reasons I just mentioned. They just came to the table, and the administration hasn't up until recently gotten serious about the policy changes that are going to be required to stem the flow at the border, we will get this done. It may be early January, but these numbers are out of control. They have completely lost control at the border, and they should be taking steps on their own to address that, but we are certainly going to do everything we can to make sure that they do.
It's interesting. I have to go, but when you think about the language from the Chicago mayor about the inhumanity of it and the lack of compassion. Today, Karine Jean-Pierre was at the podium, and she said that Republicans are demonizing immigrants, dehumanizing immigrants, and I think it's interesting. I think you're seeing now that we're going back to this idea that it is cold-hearted and incompassionate. When I think people really want to see something happen that would be a government in action. So,
yeah.
Senator,
well, there's nothing humane about what's happening down there now.
No, there isn't.
And now it's a national security crisis as well.
Think about the trafficking, the children and the drugs and the heroin and the fentanyl and all of it. Absolutely. Thank you very much, Senator. Good to see you.
Thanks, Martha.
Senator John Thune from South Dakota.